So, and I would also urge you to think about what you want from your own expectations here, in terms of what you want before you set out on this venture. Can I ask anybody in the audience if they've got a sum of money they would like to take away from a successful exit? Don't have to answer it, but I would suggest, yes?
3 to 5 million.
Yeah. Have you got any partners in your business currently?
I'm the only shareholder.
Right. So where my question was going, if there was two of you and you wanted 3 to 5 and your business partner had 50% of the company along with your 50% and they only wanted 1 to 2, then you've got a misalignment even before the whole process starts off. I was going to ask Tom whether he'd got a sum of money in his mind.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've got an exit in terms of the size of the business rather than the sum of money.
Yeah.
And I think sort of definitely with my co-founder has an earlier exit probably in his mind. So we do have a slight misalignment on what we expect and what we can build it. So that's part of the process going forward, is we've already discussed that in terms of when we would shareholder align.
Yeah. So I think one of the things that, again, we find in eSynergy is that when money has gone in, you start to realise that not everybody's aligned. So not all the founders of the company are quite pointing in the same direction and therefore want exits over the same time frame or to the same value, and also whether we have the same view as well as an investor. So to discuss all this up front is a hugely important thing. And again, from experience in investing in these early stage companies, is if there is more than one founder, what are you guys going to do when the inevitable disaster happens and something goes wrong, an order doesn't quite come in on time and you're looking, I can't pay any salaries for 3 months, what do the directors do? And one of them has a large mortgage, wife, family, and needs the regular pay. Somebody else has had a successful redundancy payment or exit and therefore has enough money in the bank to support the mortgage for 3 months. I think, as founders of companies, you need to sort that out before the investment money goes in, because it's quite surprising how many of those arguments come up during the life of the company and actually can kill off the company and the investors walk away. So set your own expectations. We would be, as an investor, very much like to hear those before we put our money in. In fact, we'd very much like to ask you what they are before we put our money in, rather than learning about it after we've put our money into the company. So back to Tom's very first point is understand what your own goals are, and also whether or not you can take the hassle and the pressures of living under an investor and all the things they're going to ask you to do and the way they're going to drive you forward. I'm very keen on this, knowing your audience. Do your research on your investors, whether it's the Dragons of Dragon's Den or eSynergy or Pembridge or anyone. Find out a bit about them. And it's all about networking and chatting to them. Be interested in their views. Are they busy doing deals? What are they up to at the moment? And this is getting away from the Tom bit of show me your money. The last thing we want as investors is to be harangued in a corner at an event like this or on any occasion about somebody doing their pitch, finishing up and saying, I want 500k or I want this. Actually, a much better way to approach investors is to go and have a general chat about things, and I'd probably be much more interested in their initial conversation than their view of Arsenal versus Barcelona last night than perhaps I would about their business, because you're getting to know people who you would be then putting money into. So this is the soft approach. Don't harangue people for money, but probably chat. Funding needed in the future. Have you got a bit of advice? We're looking for a chairman. And that opens up the networking and gets the dialogue going before you then start to ask the hard questions about money. And most importantly, as Tom was saying, better for the investors to ask you if they can put money in your company rather than the other way around, because you've got the advantage then of negotiating from the high ground. The trick is to read the signs, because investors never say no. For 2 reasons really, or several reasons. One is if you say I don't like this particular deal because, you then get a huge long email back saying you were wrong, Mike. Well, I might be wrong, but I might have missed the best investment ever. But that's our opinion. That was made at the investment committee in eSynergy, and therefore that's our view. So we'll just send out a very polite email to say, sorry, probably in the wrong market sector. So you need to read the signs when sort of come back when you've got sales is the usual trick. Does that mean no? Or do we genuinely mean, please come back and find us when we've got sales? So it's a bit of psychology and getting to know people. So you need to be able to read the signs. And why do investors, do they network and meet people? Well, they like to be seen active as funds, so they'll always be out at networking events. They gather information about what's going on in the market. They meet their colleagues and have chat. And they're looking for deal flow in companies. So they might be very interested in you, but actually they're doing a little bit of research on something else or something. So you just got to be a bit wary when you're chatting to them as to how interested they are. And you should be doing your due diligence on them from day one, as well as them doing due diligence on you. So don't be afraid to ask them direct questions about whether they have money to invest, what sectors do they invest in. Rather, that's more useful knowledge to you, I think, than you just pitching your business to them on the first time that you meet them. So, other things to know about your investor. Who makes the decisions? Now, if you're a fund, then it's generally the investment committee. So an investment committee could just number the people in the fund. They could have external advisors. I think it's very important that you find out who they are. The person you're chatting to from the fund may well just be sponsoring you to the investment committee, so make sure they have a good case to put forward. But do please make sure that you know exactly who you're chatting to. Before I did this job, I was sat just where you are as an entrepreneur. We got all the way through right to the end of a process of investment, and the two guys that we were speaking to, and we were naive at that point, said, just deal's done, Mike, come and meet our investment committee. So we trotted all the way off to see them. We didn't realise the investment committee was 12 or more people, all of whom had different views on things. We'd done no research on them whatsoever. We'd taken the two guys we'd been speaking to words. We did our pitch, and the financial guy around the investment committee table said, he said, Mike, you need more money than you're bidding for. And we thought, this is deal done. And then people started to plough into all sorts of bits about our business that we weren't prepared to answer, and we got it horribly wrong. And we put all that work in 3 or 4 months and blew it on one final meeting. So know who you're going to present to, and understand what they are, where they are in terms of their sector, geography. They might just be turning you away because you're a medtech company and they've already got 3 medtech companies in their portfolio. You might be the greatest thing since sliced bread, but sadly they haven't got room for another medtech company in their portfolio. So look at that and make sure that you understand that, because that might be the reason they reject you, or that might be the reason why you don't even bother them in the first place, that they've got too many companies in one sector or at one stage, and you would just be, they want to balance things out and you'll just be adding to the imbalance.